You hate Donald Trump because you were told to hate Donald Trump. I get it. You were lied to. You were manipulated. They told you he was evil. They told you he was racist. They seeded the mistrust. But Donald Trump has done absolutely nothing to you. As a matter of fact, he's working tirelessly to make our country great. And the same people who seeded this mistrust are the same people that have proven time and time again that they themselves are not to be trusted.
What we won't do, however, is engage in what is a federal effort. That is to say, they have their job, immigration. We have our job, which is to fight violent crime on the streets of our city. And by the way, we're succeeding at that job. But when they bring people in and don't coordinate with us, they're going to cause enormous problems.
I just woke up to some tragic news, and I want to send out condolences out to the family on behalf of Chicago Flips Red. I just received news that between sundown Saturday and sunrise today, 25 people were shot across Chicago. 3 of them lost their lives. Nearly half of the victims were targeted in a pair of mass shootings, both involving drive-by gunmen who opened fire on a large crowd.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a good weekend. I took yesterday off, decided I wasn't sitting at a computer, wasn't doing nothing. The algorithm didn't like it, but I particularly don't care. There's so much going on in the news today that we could discuss. You would think that normally the holiday weekends are slow news weekends, but it's been a very fast-paced news weekend. And quite frankly, every day is fast-paced with news to the point to where you can't cover all of it. You have to pick and choose what you want to talk about. And so I'm picking and choosing today to go back to Chicago because we want to see what the total sum of where the chessboard is in Chicago. We have Pritzker, we have Brandon Johnson facing off with Donald Trump over the crime in Chicago. And let me frame this for you, and I'll tell you what my frame is, unlike the news media who will just manipulate you. This is my frame. Violence is out of control all over the United States of America. The violence that is out of control is not just due to the traditional American criminal. It's due to the gangs that have infiltrated the United States, MS-13 and Trait Daragua. In order to deal with those gangs, and in the process of dealing with those gangs, the regular violence that was already going on, the federal government needs to get involved in blue cities and liberate the people from the crime in those cities, which is full on endorsed by the Democratic Party establishment, mayors, and governors. That is my frame. And I'm going to support my frame by let's go back in time and let's check out some articles. Let's go back in time and check out some things. But first of all, let's lay a foundation for the fact that the people in Chicago want this, because they keep on saying nobody in Chicago wants this. And for those of you who don't understand why spiritually this is happening, because there is innocent blood in the streets calling out for judgment and revenge. That's why it's happening. There's a lot of blood in the streets of America calling out for judgment and revenge, just from a spiritual perspective. And so something's going to have to give. It's going to have to give. There's been plenty of blood magic rituals done in the United States of America. Unfortunately, the shooting of the children just recently was one. And you notice how that's now been moved out of the news. It's sad that a school shooting can only last in a news cycle for probably 48 to 72 hours. They can extend it maybe another day, but they only get 48 to 72 hours out of a school shooting, like the death and mayhem of a kid. But in that 48 to 72 hours, they know that people are in a highly emotional state, And so in that highly emotional state, they can be programmed. They can have spells cast upon them with words that are said. Just like anyone who has a problem, like a drinking problem, that watches the news, they're going to be under a spell extremely easily. All right, anyway, going to Chicago.
This message goes out to President Trump. President Trump, first of all, sir, I commend you on the work you've done to reduce crime in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I commend you for laying out a blueprint on how to deploy effectively the National Guard and federalize the police out there in Washington, D.C. You've laid out a blueprint that can and should be used throughout the United States of America in those communities that need your help. I've also heard you say, sir, that you are waiting for a politician or an elected official to give you a call and ask for your help. Well, I'm telling you right now, sir, throughout our collective communities, whether it be the community of color or other, there's already a clarion call for your help. And that is the call from the blood that has already been spilt on those streets. Those streets, whether it be Chicago, New York, LA, Denver, wherever it is, those streets, those cities already need your help. You don't have to wait for an elected official. Lives that have been lost, people that are afraid, robberies that are yet to occur. People are waiting on your help, sir. And I would hope that you would use that blueprint throughout the United States of America to, like you said and like we voted for, to make America great again and to make America safe again. You had my vote then, sir. Prove my vote now as we await your help. Thank you, sir.
And the most insane thing about what's going on with the governor and the mayor of Chicago is they are so far detached from the average citizen who lives there, they don't get it. They just don't get it. It's their ego. It's what they want. They want to stand up to Trump. They want to make their career. They're willing to sacrifice everybody. Here's a video out of Chicago, a soccer game. This is a referee from the soccer game showing you they're shooting at a soccer game, broad daylight. He's down on the ground. Kids are down on the ground hiding from the gunshots. Hold on, watch.
In Chicago, everybody gotta get down. Everybody gotta get down because they shoot. Everybody down. Look, these kids are running. They shooting. We can't have no fun in Chicago, man. No fun, man. This is terrible. I ought to throw a goddamn flag. Cause this y'all neighborhood.
This might be over with, because I gotta figure this out, man.
In Chicago, everybody gotta get down. Everybody gotta get down because they shooting. Everybody down. Look, these kids are running. They shooting. We can't have no fun in Chicago, man. No fun, man.
And Pritzker and Johnson don't want the National Guard to come in and bring freedom to those people. It's important to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that all it takes is a 14-day period. Really, it takes a 21-day period of no violence to change the mental and spiritual patterns of a person. You know, it takes 21 days to create a new habit. That anybody who knows anything about human psychology, it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So if there can be no violence or close to no violence in a blue city for 21 days, where people have that peace for 21 days, that city will never be the same again. And unfortunately, the average human being is not aware of these universal laws, universal principles, business laws, business principles. But these wicked men are. They know, no, we have to keep this going because this is how they embezzle their money. But I want to show you on our news board. Let's go back a little bit and let's look at what's been going on in Chicago. Chicago's Tres de Aragua problem. FOIA request shows criminal gang members arrested throughout the city. So if we go back, this is in April of 2025. This is when they were talking about Trey Daragua being in the south side of Chicago and all the shootouts between the gangs and Trey Daragua. So the reason why Donald wants to go in there is because you have Trey Daragua, you have MS-13, you have all these various different gangs, which is a terrorist organization embedded into Chicago. While at the same time, we're getting ready to go to war with Venezuela, with Maduro, who's the leader of Trey Daragua. You can't leave those terrorist cells inside your nation and inside your blue cities while you're making war with Maduro. But it's almost as if people don't get this. It's like, to me, it's almost as if the concept and idea of what's going on in America is too complicated for people, the way they just don't understand. No. You had your borders open wide up by Joe Biden for 4 years. In came all kind of terrorists. You think a terrorist is running, only terrorist there is running around talking about Allah Akbar and blowing himself up. No. There's Chinese terrorists. There's Venezuelan terrorists. There's MS-13 gang members who are terrorists. It's almost as if the concept and idea of terrorism, and it makes sense, the America's concept and idea of terrorism is based upon the war in Afghanistan and the war in Iraq, because they were fake wars and you were made to believe that. But the battlefield has changed. The weapon of mass destruction is fentanyl. It's not a nuclear bomb. And you see it in the street where people doing the fentanyl lean, where they just sitting like that. You just standing there like that for an hour. But it's almost as if the average American person just does not see the battlefield in its totality. Gateway Pundit and Behind the Lines Enemy podcast were among the first to report on the presence of Trey Daragua and a transnational crime gang out of Venezuela in the second city. In February 2024, the Gateway Pundit reported on the potential Trey Daragua gang members showing up in Chicago suburbs. At that time, Mayor Brandon Johnson instructed Chicago law enforcement to impound buses of illegals headed into the city of Chicago from the Texas border. A recent forward response obtained by Terry Newsom of Behind Enemy Lines podcast shows 184 pages of arrests of suspected Trey Daragua gang members. This FOIA specifically requests any arrests associated with Trey Daragua gang members between the time frame of February 1st, 2023 and February 15, 2025. The crimes run the gambit of driving without a license or registration, assault and battery, fake social media, fake social security cards, possession of crack cocaine, possession of cannabis, assault with a knife, retail theft, armed robbery with a machine gun. And so there's a heavy presence of the terroristic gang inside of Chicago. So when Brandon Johnson stands up against and tries to fight Donald Trump, what he's doing is he's trying to defend and keep his people in a state of terror because the city is basically full of terrorists. That's all it boils down to. It's not that hard. Watch this. And so in the meanwhile, while criminal, alien, terroristic gangs run wild in Chicago, the governor and the mayor are sitting here saying they want to resist Donald Trump. They want to resist Donald Trump. And quite frankly, it gets to the point where if you're a citizen in a city like this and you voted for this, which I seriously doubt they've done it at this point in time. At this point in time, it has to be election fraud. It has to be ballot rigging. It has to be, MS-13 and Trey Daragua gang stuffing ballots and polls and votes being switched. Because if we go into another season where Chicago votes for another retard, I'm sorry, I think Chicago deserves to have everything bad happen to it. If we get beyond this, if we get to where the National Guard comes in and they get peace and it gets tampered down and stops. And then they bring another Brandon Johnson in, whether black or white. It's not Brandon himself. It's the spirit that's in him. It was before Brandon. It was the girl who looked like Beetlejuice. Before the lady who looked like Beetlejuice, it was Rahm Emanuel. If they bring another one of those in, then I just think they deserve whatever they get. I think they just have to be destroyed. I'm sorry. But this is what went on over the weekend. A mass shooting next to the police station.
Good evening, and thanks for being with us and spending part of your Sunday here with CBS News Chicago. I'm Marie Saavedra. We begin with a breaking news update on what was a violent night for Chicago police. 5 women and 2 men were hurt in a mass shooting that was right outside of police headquarters. Our Sade Gray explains that wasn't the only incident.
A mass shooting happened right across the street from the Chicago Police Department headquarters parking lot. The cleanup process is now underway. The city's street sweepers clean up a mess that resulted in several people shot.
We got some down in the curb down this way, too.
Fire crews also called out to clean up blood-stained cement. Police say 7 people were shot in the 3500 block of South State Street, just around the corner from Chicago Public Safety Headquarters, around 11 Saturday night. Police say a vehicle with multiple men inside went down the block, and at least one of the men opened fire on a crowd. Maddie Curry heard the gunshots.
All this pop, pop, pop. They were lit up on that side just like Christmas time coming. These cars were just lit up. They were all behind each other. All these shooting. I'm thinking it's 4th of July.
All 7 people were shot and taken to the hospital in good condition. A few hours later, police say 3 men were shot in the Pilsen neighborhood. They were standing outside in the 1900 block of West 17th Street when someone came up and shot them all. 2 men were shot in the leg and are expected to be okay, but a 46-year-old man was struck multiple times in the body and died.
Only person shooting, caller says people have been shot. Nothing further.
So far, 5 have been killed and 31 people hurt during this Labor Day weekend. Over the past 2 years, violence has gone down for the holiday. In 2023, 8 people were killed and 41 were hurt. Last year, 5 died and 26 were injured. 3rd Ward Alderman Pat Dow says in a statement, "We need to properly resource communities like ours in the 3rd Ward. I have long asked for additional police manpower to deal with large illegal gatherings and pop-up parties that routinely occur throughout the Bronzeville neighborhood." No one has been arrested in any of the shootings over the Labor Day weekend. Reporting in Bronzeville, Sade Gray, CBS News, Chicago.
And I'm going to tell you what pisses me off to the highest point of positivity about liberal white people. If you happen to be a white liberal and you watch this, look me in my eyes, because I'm going to tell you what pissed me off about y'all. You realize that majority of the people who get murdered are unsolved murders? Yeah. So when you grow up where I grew up, when you get murdered, don't nobody solve who murdered you. Yeah, they don't find the person who murdered you. That's the reason why the violence continues to go on. Because somebody says, oh, I'm going to murder Dog Waters. Police ain't going to figure out who murdered me. There ain't going to be no justice. So guess what? Dog Waters' homies, his big homies, say, oh, yeah, they killed my man. Let's go kill their whole family. And then you're like, oh, I hate Donald Trump. I hate Donald Trump. Oh, he's trying to go in Chicago. Or worse, Donald, you better not come into Chicago because you know what they're going to do in Chicago. Your liberal stupidity is like literally cursing generations of people with your stupid support. Generations. Because all it takes is for one person in the family to be murdered to send the entire generation of a family down in the wrong direction. But you don't get that because you're a white liberal. And probably because you're a white liberal female. So you don't get that. You don't understand that. That concept is fucking alien to you. Violence is truly alien to you. Blood and murder is truly alien to you. Rigor mortis is alien to you. You've never seen it. You don't understand it. All you know is your emotions and your feelings. But then you take those same stupid emotions and same feelings, and then you vomit them. You vomit them on every situation. all I can tell you is this. And if you don't see this coming, my words will be prophetic in the future. You see, right now, the violence that's going on in major blue cities is pretty much spiraled out of control, and it's spread. The next phase of violence that comes into America, if y'all don't sit your liberal behinds down, is the Islamic form of violence. That's the thing that's been going on in Europe. And they love raping, murdering, and kidnapping liberal women. Yeah. That's what they love doing. So it'll be your stands against Donald Trump, your stands against the Republic, your stands against what's best for minority communities, which is for all these YNs to be arrested. Every last one of the YNs running around with the shiesty mask, they need to be arrested. Now, I don't care if they get roughed up while they're getting arrested, because I know what they is. Their whole generation, they're a murderous generation. Matter of fact, I want to show you this because we need this for the conversations moving forward. Can we discuss real quickly, ladies and gentlemen, what a generation is biblically? I don't worry about what other people say it is. Only thing we go with our information is based on the Bible. So we'll understand this. In the Bible, it talks about generations. Well, where did you go? Get off my screen. Make sure that's there. Watch this. In the Bible, it talks about various generations, right? So you have a family generation, and then you have a group that's living at the same time as a generation. If you remember, in Genesis, it went through the generations of Adam. It was Adam begot this person begot this person got beget this one, and this one begot this. Basically, Adam's 23andMe with names, right? Then you have other generations that are groups of people. And the scripture for this is Matthew 24:34. This generation shall not pass till all things be fulfilled. So there's generations of people that are groups. So, for example, the Bible even talks about this with Jesus. Well, when Jesus was being born, Herod had all the kids up to 2 years old murdered because he tried to kill Jesus. Remember? So technically, Jesus was the only one in his damn generation in that area, because he's the only one that survived out of that 2 year period, because all the children were murdered. People don't really think about that. So in order to take out Jesus, a generation of babies were killed. And then you wonder why, baby murder and abortion and all the rest of this, it seems like, there's certain things that people just, they don't have a problem with it. These liberals don't have a problem with murdering babies. It's all right there in your Bible if you read it. So just so you understand, when I say there's a generation, a murderous generation of YNs, and this is the super Hellcat engine murderous generation of YNs running around, taking over street parties where they taking over, peeling out in the streets. It's a perfect generation of murderers because they haven't been put in their place. They are like the generation that came out of chaos. They're the generation that came out of COVID. In fact, watch this. They're the generation that came out of the COVID shutdown, organized and arranged by people who look like this. Yeah. They're the generation of people who came out of a COVID shutdown, organized by people who look like this. This is the old that's the guy who resigned from the CDC. And a lot of that stuff was these people's ideas. So it's the generation that come out of these people's magic. Man, this is why I don't. All right, listen. Let's get back to politics. Sometimes I think I'd be going too far down a rabbit hole. People don't understand it. So we had them murder people by the police station. And of course, the news says crime is down. The shootings are down. And the talking point is so crazy that even when you go to like an AI.
It's been a bloody weekend so far in Chicago with more than a dozen shootings in 48 hours.
WGN's Brona Tumblety joins us from 35th and Michigan with details. Brona?
Good evening, guys. Since Friday evening around 5 o'clock, there have been at least 21 shootings across the city, totaling about 36 victims, at least 5 of whom have died. A series of shootings in the last 48 hours have left 5 people dead in Chicago. This as the Trump administration possibly prepares to send thousands of National Guard members to our city. Today, bullet holes still visible in vehicles along the 1900 block of West 17th Street in Pilsen, some even being driven with smashed glass. It's after a shooting around 1:30 this morning, in which police say 3 men in their 40s were hit. Residents say the 2 youngest of those victims, believed to be aged 41 and 43, were attending an outdoor party when someone approached with a gun and shot them both in the legs. The older victim, whom police say was 46, passed away. Locals say he was homeless and harmless, well known in the neighbourhood. Witnesses tell WGN he was shot in the head, execution style. Less than half an hour before all of this, 4 people were struck on the 2700 block of West Haddon Avenue in Humboldt Park. All were in their 20s and 30s and taken to various hospitals in good condition. And a separate incident earlier in the evening in Bronzeville saw 7 victims. It happened along the 3500 block of South State Street shortly after 11. Authorities believe it to be a drive-by shooting, with someone in a vehicle opening fire into a crowd. All of the victims were shot in their lower limbs, and all are expected to survive. So far, no arrests in any of those incidents. As we've been reporting, though, if you look at the latest CPD data available, crime overall in the city this year is down by about 13%. And if you look specifically at shooting incidents, it has dropped by almost 40% on last year's numbers. We're live at 35th in Michigan. Bronagh Tumulty, WGN News.
All right, Bronagh, thank you.
Is it not amazing that every time that they have to tell you crime is down, crime is down? To the Negro that got shot, do you think he feel like crime is down? To the Negroes who the dude who got shot execution style, does it seem like crime is down to him? Crime is down 40% year over year. Yeah, 17 people were shot. 2 were shot in front of the the police station, but crime is down. Crime is down. Crime is down. It's absolutely insane. And I'm going to say it one more time. What comes next, America's in a reprieve. What comes next, if America rejects this reprieve and this help that God has ordained for this nation, what comes next is the level of destruction that I don't think anybody's prepared for. And I don't know that people are going to do it. I don't know if these blue cities are going to give up or if they're going to need to be broken. But this is a reprieve, is what it is. I like Valencia Gomez. She kind of crazy with how she be rolling, though. This is a reprieve. That's all it is. And if we don't get it together now, we got major problems on our hands.